Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to ROX Rock Box, and I hope we're all well. Lovely to see so many people here. So lovely to know how many children know what their parents are doing at this time. So, Sarah, that made me laugh. Thank you for sharing that comment. And same with Lucy. I don't know who that person was on TV, but God help them if they look like me. So we have got the lovely Violet Flame, the Queen of Dragons, in the waiting room at the moment. But if we just want to briefly connect with those who are connecting with their crystals this week, if we want to just go through those for 5 minutes, once I know that everything is all good in the hood with these guests and Biggles the technician, then we will welcome on our special guest. So anyone who has been connecting with their crystals this week, for those of you who are regulars on ROX know we do this on a daily show that we just connect in for 5 minutes, see how people are doing with these crystals, and then we move on to the topic. So I hope we've all had a good day. It's a little bit of tomfoolery going on with the weather. We had some thunder today, so I dashed out to grab our rabbit from out the run to bring him in. We had two of our cats in the garden sunbathing leisurely, and I thought, get in, there's thunder, get in. And that's all we had. We had about 15 rumbles of thunder, no rain, and it's coming out glorious. Oh, I love how members of family have accepted me into their home. Lovely, Carolyn. Brilliant. Okay, is there anyone at all wishing to share with their connections? Because if hubby can give me a sign to say that Hilary is ready. Oh, brilliant, Ange. Guten Tag. Guten Abend. So I had my labradorite stone to carry for the past 2 days as spiritual protection. Too much going on at the moment. Brilliant. Beautiful. Yeah, and you still got your selenite as well. But yeah, labradorite for your spiritual protection. Beautiful. Hey, Lucy. Connected with my beautiful eye light this morning. Again, I was on the back of the Raven, flying towards a waterfall which had a rainbow across it. Soon there were more ravens with us, but they were white, and when I looked, the one I was on had changed to white too. It was like being with a community, felt supportive and positive. I think that might be, Lucy, that you might have found your tribe. I think you might have found your group of people. You found the people that will be there for you and can share things with. So beautiful. Robin, you've been connecting with your Larimar this week. Wow, what a journey. I've been on a wonderful adventure back through Atlantis and Lemuria. Fabs. And we will be briefly touching on that tonight, because I know there's a lovely lady who's going to be doing a talk at the Healing Weekend about Lemuria. So at the end, if we've got time, if it's 10 o'clock, we might not have time. But if we've got time, we might have a little bit about what she's going to be doing at the Healing Weekend. Moon, Leslie, you've not connected with my eye light other than seeing indigo. Take that on board. And then next time you connect, see if it'll give you a little bit more info than that. So beautiful. Oh, brilliant. There is loads. I took someone to Lemuria this morning. So I had a lovely connection there with my Lemurian quartz. Okay, that's twice now Lemuria has been mentioned. Okay. Code of Freedom and Blade of Light, plus my Murderite. Then my new crystals came, and I had a lovely play around with them. Beautiful. Stunning. So yeah, Lemuria, but you got the Murderite there, so you've got the energy of fantasy and mythical, which is quite nice, tying in for what we're going to be on to tonight. So lovely. And thank you guys so much for sending me the pictures or sending us the messages of the safe arrival of your crystals. It's lovely to hear that they're arriving safely to you all. That is brilliant. So Sarah, my connection with Charite showed me the man in the brown suit again, and he was being followed. I had a sense of him being involved in things that were out of his depth, and he was being chased down a tunnel of the underground. He had no jacket or hat, and his white shirt sleeves were rolled up. Then he was sat at the edge of the tunnel, and there was water and a real sense of pressure on my chest, as if he was struggling to breathe. I may have drowned in this tunnel and never been found. So, interesting there. Interesting to where that is taking you, Sarah. Again, I don't know whether that is a past life, whether it's something you witnessed in a past life or not. But yeah, see how the rest of the week unfolds with Charite and that story. It's beautiful connection, really detailed. Hi, Anne. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Kim. That's okay, Anne. There is plenty of time for that. So, letters. Are we all good? So, she is coming back again. Absolutely amazing. You all welcomed her on Saturday night for the past lives. No doubt you're going to welcome her again tonight as we talk about the realm of dragons. So everyone, please give a standing ovation to the lovely Violet Flame. Daenerys, move over, because here is the true Queen of Dragons. Welcome, Hilary.
Hello. Thank you for that. I do love that picture of the
Hello, beautiful.
I know. You do give me a very glowing introduction. Dragons have just been my passion.
You are a very glowing lady.
Oh, thank you.
Well, it's nice to give it its own show. It feels right.
Yes. I don't know why we tried to think we'd get it all in last time. That was really silly. But yeah, so welcome everybody.
I don't, because we were bonkers.
Yeah. Well, there is that. But the dragons are just amazing, and they've been growing and growing in our consciousness for quite some time now. So many people are starting to contact me and saying, seen a dragon, felt a dragon, ridden on the back of a dragon. You know, their meditations are taking them there. People are feeling them and being much more aware of them around. So we thought, well, this would be a good topic then to spend some time on. I do teach it over 2 days, as Dan knows. He's done my Dragons workshop. It's a lot to pack in 2 days, though, isn't it? We cover a lot of ground, so I'm thinking of adding more bits in and perhaps doing it over 2 separate weekends.
But
you've gone quiet. Can't hear you, Dan.
It's so eye-opening. I went. Am I quiet?
Yeah, it's very broken. Can only hear the odd little grunt.
I could never be quiet.
No, can't hear you at all. Oh, and you've gone. Well, we'll wait if Dan comes back. Hopefully he will. There he is.
Okay.
Are you back?
I'll let this kick in for a bit and then I will talk. It might need some time to settle.
Yeah, your voice is really, really broken. Really broken. Can't hear you. But hopefully Adam upstairs will be able to sort it out.
I'm back. Do you want to
back.
carry on? And I will wait a little bit later to talk.
Right.
I'll leave it over to you so we're not disturbing the sound.
Yeah, it's really distorted, really distorted. So I hope you can all hear me okay. I know that we choose when we come back to this lifetime, we choose when we want to incarnate, when we want to come back to Earth. We choose the month, the year, absolutely everything. We pick our own date according to what the planets are in position and all sorts of things. We choose our family. So these choices are made long before we come back to this Earth. I chose to come back as a water dragon in Chinese astrology. So this was with me right from the word go, and I knew right from the start that I had a strong connection with them. Apparently, my dad used to say stories of dragons that were getting killed just used to send me into floods of tears when I was little. So, and St. George, no thanks. Really couldn't compare that. And he said that I used to say, if there was a story with a dragon being killed, I'd say, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. You mustn't kill the dragons. So this was a little bit of a sort of family joke, you know, he doesn't really know. She's only little. But he used to make up stories for me that were nice dragons, friendly dragons. So all his stories he must have kept in his head, because when my children were born, my daughter also liked dragons. It was her second tattoo she had was a dragon. My dad then typed them all out, all these stories he used to tell me, typed on a really old typewriter, no computer or anything, not back then. And I've still got them. I've got all the stories. So I keep thinking maybe one day I must put them into a book or get them printed up properly for children, because they were written for us, for those of us who love dragons. So that's a little bit of a background. This sort of stayed with me all through growing up. And I used to collect little china and glass ornaments. And if there was a dragon, oh my goodness, that was my pride and joy. So people would buy me little ornaments of dragons if they saw them. So it's kind of, that's, it's my lifetime, really. Then in 2009, I was running Amethyst, which was a shop and healing centre in Bournemouth. Very good friend of mine who I've worked with a lot with the Violet Flame. Walter came over and said, I want to do a workshop with dragons. And yes, please. Yes, that would be brilliant. So he ran a workshop for us, and I found, in the first sort of meditation, and came back from it, and I was thinking, wow, this huge, huge dragon was just towering over me. Very black with dark, sort of pinky purple patches in him and veins running through him. So when I came back and I just looked at Walter to go, oh my God. And he said, that was a nice dragon, wasn't it? Looked a bit like Sujilite. And I thought, yeah, because he sees things too. So that Sujilite dragon has stayed with me ever since then, and I've worked with it quite a lot. So jumping forward then, Amethyst had gone. Jumping forward, there was 2016, beginning of 2016, I felt very drawn to, they were pushing and pushing and pushing me to do some more work, particularly with that Sujilite. The dragons I do see, I tend to associate them with crystals, because that's what we do down, isn't it? So it was just pushing and pushing to come in and make itself more known to me. So I just finished a whole year of a group I was running, Spirit Connections, connecting people to archangels, Elohim, ascended masters, all sorts of beings out there. And there was a lovely couple of friends who'd sat in this group with me for the whole year, and prior to that doing other things. And they said, you know, we finished all that. What can we do now? And I said, well, I don't know. I think I need to take some time out because I've got the dragons pushing me for doing some work with them. And this lovely couple said, can we help? And I went, oh, yes, please. Now, they were just, I really didn't think that they would be interested in something so, I suppose, far removed from human, because we tend to see the archangels and the ascended masters in human form. We tend to find it a bit easier to connect with them. But no, they said, no, we'd love to. So we set aside for 9 months, the three of us would sit together and meditate every week, and we'd ask questions and bring through the answers. Now, Alan was a draftsman and engineer, so very scientific, very spiritual, but he would ask the sort of questions that would really make you think and push you for an answer. So he'd come in and he'd say, right, I've been thinking about this week, and I want to know what the dragons say about this aspect. So I go off and try and find the answers because I could nip off and see my dragon, bring back what I was told, and then Joan would see how that felt, how that fitted, because very early on we got the impression the dragons are here for not just us on Earth, but the whole of Earth. They're guardians, they're protectors of the Earth. So they see the bigger picture. They see the whole evolution of mankind. So, you know, talk about when we did on Saturday, our past lives, that's just blink of an eye to them. They see mankind, they see this Earth evolving, and they look to that bigger picture. So our lives, they connect with us because we have so much impact on this Earth. And if they can get us to see the bigger picture and us to understand and see the Earth as they do, then there's hope that we'll be able to get through all that we're going through now, bearing in mind this was 4 years ago. So the three of us, we sat and wrote down copious notes. I've got huge files on the computer of all the information that came back, all the meditations. Alan, when he first started, he said he had never seen any of the beings that we connected to in the previous year. He felt them, he sensed them around, and he would feel the questions and want to know exactly what energy they were. But as soon as we started working with the dragons, he said, I've seen one. He said, he said, as soon as I closed my eyes, sent my roots to the center of the Earth, the energy came back up with a big red and gold dragon. He said, and I saw it in my mind's eye as clear as anything. So this was just, wow. It was just really, really lovely. As we got working on it, we realized the importance of the number 3 to them. 3 really sits well with them. So they have 3 different aspects that we found really, really strongly. Where we're used to the duality of male and female, they're multifaceted. Think like one of the glitter balls in the old discos. You know, there's so many different facets to them. But they gave us 3 because they said they thought that was all I could comprehend at this moment in time. So thanks. So they said that their main attributes, they are either fixed, mutable, or reflective. So male and female doesn't exist for them. And the fixed dragons, a little bit like my Sujilite one, they tend to come back always looking the same. They tend to have the same sort of attributes, the same sort of way of talking, the same sort of information they give. the same way of teaching, and they're lovely, stable, secure. You can always recognize a fixed dragon because you'll see them the same time after time, just like Alan's red and gold one. So the mutable ones are those that can change, obviously, as the word suggests. And they can change. So a sort of tall, thin purple one you might see one day might come back as a short, little, fat yellow one the next time. But we learnt to look for physical features. Some have a really long snout, some are very smacked in the face looking, some have long sort of tendrils coming down from behind their mouths, some have longer horns, short horns, you know, they do vary just like we do. So a mutable dragon will come back according to what you're doing. If you're working on a project and you want the influence of a dragon, and you might get the same one come back, but might have different perspective on things. So they do change. And then we were quite a way into all this when we found that there was another type of dragon coming through, and they looked almost clear, holographic, hard to sort of pinpoint, hard to get an outline to. And we were told these are the reflective ones. And as this dragon came towards me, he was like he was carved out of clear glass, obviously crystal. And he came, and I could see everything reflected in him, not just my wishes, dreams, desires, but all those energies around him. So he was reflecting all the others that were gathered around him. So that was lovely to see. And then when we'd sorted out those issues, he would just simply disappear. And I thought, gosh, there's just so much to this. So in talking to them, we said, look, we need a handle, we need a name, we need to categorize you somehow. Grump. No, why would you? Why put us in boxes? Names are just labels, that doesn't define us. So we go, well, I got a real telling off. Don't try and put us in boxes, don't give us names or labels. So I said, well, you know, if I'm going to pass on your information, I need the structure. So eventually we decided between us that we would go with the elements, although they insisted they are not elementals. The elementals, the sylphs, the gnomes, the salamanders and the undines, they're a different stream of consciousness. And they showed us as an example that the elementals will deal with the sort of smaller issues of life. So the water elementals, the undines that we see depicted as mermaids, they're very much concerned with the flow of water, with the water in us, so our emotions. So whether it's the rain or whether it's your drains that are blocked and you call on the undines, they swim in the oceans, the seas, the rivers, every drop of water. But the dragons that are connected to the water element, they see the flow of energy around the earth, the ice ages that come and go, all the weather patterns, all those things where it's just that literally that flow of energy. So they're not concerned with the, you know, every pond and river, but it's the earth as a whole and all the flow of energy around it. So they see the bigger picture. So I said, okay, I'll make that clear then that you're not part of the elementals, but can we link you to the elements? And they said earth, air, fire and water are not enough. So we had to include crystal and metal. And I know they're included a lot in Chinese astrology, but also wood is. But the dragons were saying, no, wood is not an element of earth. Wood grows on the earth. It's not a natural element. If you go down deep in the earth, you'll find crystals, you'll find metal, but you won't find wood down there. So we had the crystal and the metal as well. So we soon got to realize that the dragons that we wanted to sort of put under that heading of air, included freedom, thought, perception. Lots of them do like mind games, puzzles. They're a little bit, their sense of humour tends to be very dry, because you think, you know, if you've been around this earth billions of years, you will get that slightly sarcastic, dry sense of humour. So the air ones very much interact with your mind, with, you know, what's going on, your thoughts, plans, ideas, but they will sometimes talk in riddles, which can be really irritating. But they do make sure that you get the picture. The earth ones are very much about balance and stability. They tended to be more of the fixed variety. Air were very much more mutable, those sort of dragons. But earth is about constancy. It's the healing of earth, our healing attributes. So the more earthly dragons stayed and were stable. So when we're working through things that are constant in our life, we call upon those, the earth dragons, and they help see us through. They tend to be a little bit more plodding, a little bit more, right, step by step, will take you through the journey. So the fire, as you'd expect, all about passion, cleansing, firing you up with enthusiasm, getting things going. The water is, as I said, about the flow of energy around the earth, but it's also about ease and grace, how we flow through our lifetimes. And they want us to experience that and experience that ease of going through life. They don't want us to keep stumbling over boulder after boulder on our path. Get that flow going and go with those. The crystal ones were very much clarity, creativity, and reflection. So it's the soul-searching ones that I think have been around a lot this last few months, where we've all been stuck at home and soul-searching. Those more crystalline dragons have been very much more prevalent, and a lot of people are starting to see, saying that they just get a glimpse out of the corner of their eye or a flash of light. They're seen in the clouds a lot more. A lot of people are saying, taking pictures of clouds that look just like dragons, which is lovely. So they're very much about creativity, but also ancient knowledge, which will tie in nicely with Lemuria when we get onto that. Ancient civilizations, ancient knowledge, they come with the crystal dragons. When you think crystals can be programmed, so they're encoded with information. So we link very much with the crystals, with the dragons, to bring back ancient information. And the metal is all about the strength, the support, the protection. Be on your metal, be on your guard, prepare yourself, steel yourself for what's coming. So those metal ones are very much around us now too. So if you're starting to see, feel or sense dragons around you, start to have a look at the details, have a look at their face, listen to them, that voice in your head. You don't often hear them with physical ears. They're your inner ear, just like we see with our inner eye. So just have a look and see if you can get something like a handle on them and work with them, because they're coming back so strongly for a reason. They're wanting to help us through this. So this was their sort of identity. Their characters change. They're very funny, which was quite a surprise. So we've had on the workshop, we put all the old myths and legends, because they vary all over the world. So anything you want to say, Dan? Because I shall just carry on and on and on. I can't see if anybody's commented. We're going to ask the viewers for questions. Oh, I still can't hear you. Oh. We need sign language. hear a thing. Can't hear you at all. Never mind. Oh, it's changing. We're all dancing around that dragon's eye. Oh, there we go. Look, this lovely poem. This is how I started with when I was writing up the manual. Alan found this. It is anonymous, so I hope I can read it out to you again. And this was just a lovely poem that he found. I am born of a time before men, when the world was raw. The wisdom of rocks and fire and earth and blood is in my veins. For now I live in a world of mists, beyond the reach of mortal man. But the time shall come when I shall rise again. And it was just a lovely poem that seemed to sum up that fact that to them, they are rising in our consciousness once again. They're here to help us through the changes that this is taking our earth at the moment, huge changes. So we've been through the elements of them, the way we connected with them. We did have, there is a lovely picture, Adam, if you can hear me, of the purple one with the breath. There's a lovely picture that, again, Adam found just after we'd finished writing all this up. Found it in a charity shop, so I don't know whose this is, but a great picture. It's a 3D picture, but I did send it in to Alan because it shows the breath. When we were working with them, we found that they don't all breathe fire. You know, this is a myth. This is because people didn't understand, knew that the breath of the dragon is very powerful and very strong. And on one of the evenings that we were working together, I said, I saw the dragon's breath and it came out almost like a DNA spiral and with symbols in it. And the symbols that they use, I said, mentioned that they're, you know, 3. There's a lot of things in triplicate. Oh, 1 sec, that didn't download. No problem. So the breath is just very powerful. It spirals, it carries a lot of healing, a lot of power. But unlike those lovely dragons on Game of Thrones, they don't just blast and burn everything in their path. They can heal with their breath. They can remove negative energy with their breath. But the symbols that carry it. So a lot of the symbols are in 3s, like the Triskele. There's a Shinto symbol in Japanese. There's a lot of things that are in triplicate with them. And then I'm sure Adam will find it. If not, I've got it somewhere. Ah, there, I just saw it flash up. And that really shows. And we found this picture after we'd finished all the work, after we'd got the manual written. They came around with this lovely picture, and it shows the spiral, that like the DNA, the spiraling energy of the dragon's breath. And at the very end of it is a Triskele. The 3 curly lines. So that really does denote what I'd seen. It was lovely proof to think that somebody else had seen that too. Somebody else felt that was what the dragon's breath was. So if you do get a dragon breathe on you, don't be alarmed. He won't burn you. There it is. Oh, thanks, Adam. I don't know if you can see on that the spiraling energy through the dragon's breath. And at the very end, on the left of the picture, is that Triskele. They're the 3, it's a very Celtic symbol, the 3 curly lines that spiral around. So I did have a chat with them about those symbols. And I said, how about the Isle of Man, 3 legs? And he, oh, absolutely not. You know, not when it's 3 straight lines like that. They thought that was very funny. He said, but you'd have to be a dragon to understand that one, as to why that amuses them, because all the rest of their symbols have a flow, have an energy, have a movement in them. And there it is at the very end. So that was a lovely picture to get at the end. And purple, just my colour, the violet. So that was my gift from them for all the work that we'd done together, which was lovely. It was an honour, a real honour. So a lot of children are seeing and sensing dragons around now, which is lovely. So please, if your child or grandchild starts talking about dragons, please, acknowledge that they did exist. They are real still. It's just like they're the angels. We can't always see them, but we only see them in a mind's eye. Oh, hello, you back? He's back. So are you back? Can we hear you now?
Can I try?
Can you try?
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You can?
I can hear you.
I'm not going to jinx it, Hilary. Carry on. You're doing an amazing job.
Feels a bit like a lecture when it's only one-sided. But you chip in whenever you like.
There are people asking questions, so we'll get to them in a minute, sweetheart.
Okay, all right, I'll carry on then. Providing there's enough interest, I'll keep carrying on. So we've had, a lot of different myths around the world. It's only here in the West that we consider dragons as, these fire-breathing monsters. You look how much they're revered over in the Far East. In Australia, they're treated as protectors, particularly of water. They're guardians. The Middle East, it's a little bit mixed. Some believe, some legends state that they were dangerous beasts, and some they're there to protect them. So all the way over, when you think of our Celtic history, you go over to Wales, the dragon is their flag. It's their symbol. So it's only us in England that really, have this thing about St. George killing the dragon, which he didn't kill it here anyway. He was away on the Crusades. And so St. George is also patron saint. I think it's Hungary, or it's around that Hungary-Romania border. He's their saint because he killed what he said was a dragon there. Just a wild animal probably, and he came back all full of himself, and I killed a dragon. We all went, hooray, be our patron saint.
Yeah, I think it was a worm.
Yes, it was.
A little sand lizard.
Yeah, yes. So when you look, the other thing that struck us was how all over the world images of dragons are pretty much the same. And the old carvings in caves, they all look and are easily identified as a dragon. Even over to South America, to the Incan and Mayan culture, one of their main gods who brought them writing and the alphabet and culture and civilization was called Quetzalcoatl. Now, that was a winged serpent. So, okay, you think if you're going to describe a dragon, usually winged, serpent, scaly, and they're depicted in the same sort of way. So the dragons obviously love that image, that shape, and the colours and how they are, with the scales all shiny. So I think it's generally accepted now that they're not magpies, they don't steal shiny things. They don't sit on a pile of gold and jewels like Smaug in The Hobbit, but they hold dear to them our highest values. So morals, ethics, what's right, the gold of us, we say that person is pure gold. If somebody is very, honourable and got integrity, they say, they're pure gold. That's what dragons guard. They protect those who are here on earth with the highest values and intent. So that makes sound a bit egotistical when I say I've got dragons with me, but they're with a lot of people too. But it is that, you know, it's our highest purpose and the best in us. I soon know if I've done something wrong when my dragon buggers off. I think, oh, okay. Because they do. It's the best thing.
Absolute.
Oh, just reading. Oh, Catherine Emily, thank you. The best way to try and connect is just to open your mind, open your heart, believe in them, and ask. That's something that all the girls who have
Did
ever
you ask?
sat in certain groups, did you ask? No, they say they're going to carve that on my headstone. How rude is that? My grave will have, did you ask? On it. But if you ask, I mean, they can't interfere, but if you ask them to come, if you ask for the highest good, ask for the greatest purpose, you can ask them to protect your family. They do sort of look a little bit. You might get one that comes and just raises an eyebrow and, oh, that, you know, thanks, give us the menial job, you know, I'm not your bouncer. But they do that. This is what they do. They do come and protect us, but also ask them for information. Ask them when you need to see the bigger picture, because this is something that, you know, they do overall. They see how our lives influence the earth, and this is something they're hugely concerned with. So we think that in their love of looking after and protecting the higher values and the higher aspects of us and of life, they have a real shiny light around them. So it often looks metallic, and we think that's perhaps where the myths came from, that they liked gold and jewels, because a lot of them, their scales are very shiny. And they do like to sort of be around that sort of energy, and they do shine. So if people saw them shining, you know, and shining with gold and flashes of different colours, they probably think, oh, look, you know, the dragons, yeah, they just like everything gold and shiny. So I think that's where some of those myths and legends came from. But connect with them in meditation. You don't have to go into a deep meditation. You just sit quietly. Do be very grounded. These energies that come through are ancient. They come, you know, they're very connected with the center of this earth, with the iron core. So get a root or a cord, Catherine, right down to the center of the earth, and breathe in and bring all that energy back up into you. It rises like all the colors of the rainbow, so the whole spectrum that we see. And because dragons are very connected with crystals, there are certain crystals that you can sit and meditate with. We might do another one on that, Dan. Hey, dragons, crystals of the dragons.
Crystals of the dragons. Let's do that one.
That would be fun. Yes.
That would be fun. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, because there are quite a few. Yes, I do. Yes. Yeah. Very much, very prevalent on Andromeda. Carolyn Biggs has just said, do you work with dragons not just connected to this world? My guide and childhood best friend is a pink dragon from Andromeda. Because Andromeda is our closest.
Yeah, Carolyn's told me.
They're starting to come together. Well, not starting, they've been coming together millions of years. And the object is not for our two galaxies to collide, because that would just explode everything, but to eventually, long after we're gone, to merge. So the dragons do come a lot through from Andromeda, but also other worlds as well. So we had a lot of the other realms and other star systems where they come from. So I think I have got a list. There you go. I see I did bring some notes. Arcturus, very much the healer dragons from Arcturus, just like the beings from Arcturus are very, very much along that line of healing and bringing through other energies, not just the healing modalities that we know here, but they are great healers of the whole universe. So again, it's not that personal healing, it's healing of all that is. The Pleiades, the seven sisters, there's very strong dragon energy there. And in fact, if we go through the Pleiades, there is one of the stars of the Pleiades is called Electra. And there are worlds around that, and one in particular that has a very strong resemblance to Earth for the dragons. And they gave us the information that they use that as kind of a stopping off point on the way to Earth. They use that world to acclimatize themselves to be able to be here and interact with us. And it is a world where all sorts of other beings are there, ascended masters, Elohim. It's just a world that has a very, it's a bit like Earth, but it has an incredible spiritual energy. So that is through the other side, just the other side of the Pleiades. Sirius, of course, for the information and technology that we have. So we found there's a lot of dragon energy there. Orion, particularly those 3 stars of the belt of Orion, there's energy around there where the dragons seem to like flying in between it. It's almost as if they see those 3 as like we would a slalom, and we would just play around those 3 stars. So they're also around the 3 stars of Orion. And seeing as Sirius is the head of the dog, Orion's dog, it's very much linked with that energy. Orion holds the energy of the positive and negative. In very, very early galactic history, it's where the first sort of conscious thought split and divided. There was a decision made by that conscious thought that then went into negative and positive, and they are very much linked to Orion, where you get both. So the dragons are there kind of holding the balance, and that influences the rest of our solar system and our galaxy, that we have that duality there, and they play in amongst them. And again, it's the 3 stars. So we've got that 3 again, that they play around there, and they keep, it's a bit like the infinity symbol that just goes into 2. If you can imagine that going into 3, that's how they fly around those 3 stars of Orion. Cassiopeia is another world that, another star system that I've been to with worlds on there around those stars with dragons energy on. Lyra and Vega in particular. Lyra is a triangular shaped constellation, like the lyre, the harp. And there's a lot there. There's, again, back in our galactic heritage, we came through that triangular portal, and they say at the end of time, that's the portal that will close. So we have Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, and Melchizedek, the 3 M's on the corners of that triangle. But it is Lyra, and the brightest star is Vega. And we found the energy around there, a lot of the dragons. Antares is my home, one of them, one I feel very linked to. It's now just a giant red star. So it will eventually go. It'll go bang, probably. But Antares, the energy on Antares is very much about time travel, and those things that you can just manifest. You can disappear here and just manifest somewhere else. So it's that easy traveling, which the dragons have. So the dragons will just suddenly appear and suddenly disappear. There's no traveling time, much to the disappointment of some little boys who came round to see me recently to see my dragons. They wanted one to walk in through the door and actually be here. And I said, no, they just appear and disappear. Well, why can't we see them? So I had to try and explain that, they're seen in your mind's eye. And one of them was very disappointed that I didn't have a real live dragon living here. First of all, that's me. I'm the real live dragon. And lastly, the Andromeda Galaxy. Now, there's a lot of children born now bringing through guides from Andromeda. I first saw this, many years ago. Sudden laughter, sudden really loud laughter came through. I went to see a friend's little boy, just been born, and up behind him came this enormous being, huge being, not a dragon, more sort of humanoid in features, but very, very much on that pink grey. So you're right, the pink is very aligned, and it's often the bright fuchsia pink that we see, which is the colour of our higher heart chakra. So we have that higher heart, that soul's heart connection with Andromeda, and a lot of the beings from there and the dragons from there come through with that sort of colour pink. So lovely, brilliant that's who's been with you since a child. Was that Cass? No, that was, who was that who said about the pink dragon? Carolyn or Catherine? Carolyn, I think, wasn't it? Carolyn Biggs? Yes, there you go. Carolyn Biggs, you pink dragon from Andromeda. How lovely. That's a beautiful connection. Really lovely. Yeah. Oh, Shardy.
Carolyn.
Drawn to dragons and
Carolyn Biggs.
No, you're right. They're not beasts of anger and destruction. Yeah. She said, I've been astral traveling on my dragon with a friend. I've been asleep and haven't recalled it. My friend was awake each time when I've gone to get her. Any thoughts on helping me to do this consciously? Oh, Shardy, yes, do. Again, it's just ask and just sit and relax. You know, when we meditate or when we sit and relax and we focus our mind on something, it's very hard to empty your mind. We can't. We simply cannot stop thinking and think of nothing. So the best thing is to focus on something. And I know a lot of people meditate, they focus on their breath, or they focus on a colour, or they focus on a sound, have a CD playing. So if you focus on something, focus on an image, let it come to your mind of a dragon. I have got guided visualizations if you want to follow a guided meditation that describes you seeing a dragon climbing on his back and off you go flying. It's entirely possible to do it consciously. It's just setting your mind to it, having that time and focusing on it. Focus on the dragons. Take yourself on a walk or ask your dragon to come. You don't have to be asleep and miss it, because that's just really sad. But good for you for trying. These are some of Patrick's beautiful paintings. Now, I know he said when he was on, didn't he, Dan? He's got 50 dragons and he's done 5. We're hoping to do an oracle deck of dragons, but time doesn't matter. I'm doing the wording, the writing for them, which is lovely that Patrick's asked me to do that. The one on the left of your screen, the white one, is called Spirit Dragon. Very, very happily, my friend up the road bought the original. So I can pop up and see that one anytime I like. And we've got the gold dragon, which does show that, that has got gold paint on it. But, is he smiling or is he angry? Well, to me, he's having a good old chuckle there, because to me, that does depict that, they do have such a sense of humour. I guess when they've travelled around and been around for as long as they have to see the funny side of it. Which really reminds me, I have a regular group here. The people that have done the workshop with me didn't want it to end. So we meet every other Wednesday, or we had been until this lockdown. And we sit and meditate still with our dragons, and some extra information has come through since running that group. And it's just a lovely one. The last thing before lockdown, we had a dragons group, dragons connection evening. And so the girls all gathered, and we set off on a meditation with our dragons. And when I brought us all back out of the meditation, we just sat and looked at each other and looking a bit quizzical. And one of the girls, Sally, said, "I got a cartoon. I saw Scooby-Doo." And Laura also said, "Yep, cartoon." And I said, "Yep, mine was too." It was as if they were telling us, because we were asking about this, the virus, and about we were heading into lockdown, how far would it go? How bad was it go? And all we got was, Scooby-Doo with his usual sort of laugh and scared bit, and the dragon peering through the eyes of a painting. We were all thinking we're going bonkers. They were trying to show us that not to take this seriously. This isn't a huge issue. This is just like a reset. This is time out that we need. Some people had already chosen to go, but they would have probably gone anyway. So they were all of them were showing us different stories, but in cartoon form. I don't know, one of them had, I think, Mr. Magoo, blind, can't see your way forward, the little old character with the bottle end glasses. And they were just having a joke with us and having a laugh to say, this isn't going to be such a huge deal. Don't worry about it. You'll look back and see the funny side of all this. So obviously then when we went into lockdown and we heard the death toll rising, we all kept hanging on to that. But the dragons said, don't worry, it won't be how it seems. It's a little bit of comedy here. Things aren't real. And we've since found out, haven't we, that a lot of it's not quite real, or not as we thought. So to me, that lovely gold dragon there is with a great sense of humour. And I think he's sort of watching with those bright gold eyes, watching, and I don't think he's ready to let off a stream of fire at all. I think he's just laughing. So I love those two, the different aspects, the spirit dragon, that lovely energy that is much more gentle, but that old wisdom. So he would come into the reflective dragons. He would be like that, that sort of where you can almost see through parts of him or her. We did ask about this, people call them him or her, and they said, "Oh, if you must." Yeah. It doesn't relate to us, but we know you like to see things as male or female. So you can still call them him or her if you want. It's just, it's just your own preference and how you see them. So that lovely white one is to me very reflective, very much a crystalline dragon, one of those that you can almost see through, or you can see that it's shining back on you. And the gold, very much more of the earth, the healer, looking after and protecting those higher values. So I just love Patrick's paintings of them. They really are. They are just so beautiful. So I have enjoyed starting to work with the 5 that he's done. And I know that, whenever the time is right, they look. These sort of rainbow dragons. This, I know the one on the right of your screen is the Rainbow of Compassion, and it is that very gentle understanding and forgiveness, and the wisdom in the one on the left there. Look at the eyes, that lovely violet light, but such wisdom, such ancient understanding. He really does pick up on the energy of them. So they are really lovely, really lovely. Can't wait for him to do some more. Not that I'm nagging Patrick, but get on with it. They are just lovely. He does bring through their energy so well. One of the questions that I've often been asked, did they ever incarnate, were they ever here in the physical? So this was something else that we had to ask about. Were you ever? And they showed us their energy range. Now, you know, we have a range from our densest energies up to, you know, possibly our highest energy. They go a lot deeper and a lot higher. So their energy range is vast. And it is very much like the denser, slower energy that did incarnate in the physical form. So we said, were you here among the dinosaurs? Because that to us would make sense. And they said their lower, their denser energies did come and get a feel for this physical world when the dinosaurs were here, because it was an appropriate opportunity for them to connect with this earth. But the higher, the more spiritual, the faster frequencies of their energy remained in spirit or on these other worlds. So it's only a very small part of them that did in fact incarnate into the physical world as creatures. So they have that wisdom as well. They know what it's like. They know how it feels to walk on this earth, and that they still retain, because any experience, they're a bit like the elephants and the whales, any experience they have is shared. They have group consciousness, so it's shared all among the whole lot of them. So they did incarnate here. They did live on this earth, and then it withdrew before we came along. So yeah, but these, I do just love these paintings. They show so many different aspects: the gentleness, the wisdom, the sense of humor, that lovely reflective quality of the spirit dragons. So they are fantastic, aren't they? No.
Can you still hear me, Hilary?
Not really. It's just very much, there's a comedian that talks like that, just gives you a bit a bit like that. That's all I can hear of you. Can everybody else hear you clearly? Because it might just be my iPad. Can everyone else hear you? Don't know. Can you hear me? Yeah, I hope so. No, it's our connection. Okay, Adam. Oh, 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 missing my chat with Dan and Adam. Oh, right. Bit more to tell you then, if you're happy. Oh, I've an idea. Oh, yeah, we like ideas. I'll carry on because it says everyone can see and hear you. So we asked then about, as we were talking about the dragons in other realms and other worlds out there, you know, and their strong connection with our earth. What about the moon? Do they have any thoughts or any feelings for our moon? So I went, one of the meditations I had, and he said, well, come and see. So we went round to the back of the moon, the dark side of our moon. Didn't find Pink Floyd there, but I did see all sorts of other things. There were lines on the other side of the moon that reminded me a little bit of the Nazca lines in Peru, where the lines were all drawn or carved or etched into the back of our moon. And he said, the dragon that took me there said, what do you want to see? So I said, everything. And he said, then you'll see nothing. He said, if you want to see everything, it will be too much, too confusing. So I said, well, everything that's to do with dragons. And he said, better. What aspect? So he was telling me to refine what I was looking for so that I could focus. So I said, I want to know if you use the dark side of our moon, if you visit it. And he said, we use these lines. These are like signposts to us and to all those who travel through space. So he showed me that one line would be connected to, say, Jupiter, just for example. And so that whole line on the back of our moon would carry the energy of Jupiter. So wherever it was in the galaxy, that line would be moving to hold the energy of where it was pointing to. So he said it's a little bit like a sort of mobile signpost, if you like. Every line that was created carries the energy of another world. He said, and the dragon lines are the ones that we use, that we put here to help us sort of navigate through, because they cover such huge distances over the whole universe, over all universes. So they sometimes sort of stop off on the back of our moon. Sometimes they just glance over at it as they're going past, and they use these markers as directors. So I loved it then when I went and got some black moonstone and found all the lines on it. And so that's one of the stones that I do include on the Dragons Workshop, that when we do the crystals dragons, which, hello Dan.
Hello?
Back.
Can you hear me?
Yay!
Can
Yes.
you?
I can hear you. Well done, Adam.
Isn't he? I'm in my own dragon's den here.
Oh, lovely.
I am
See,
I am
different-
I am so yeah, I'm so sorry for the connections going, but 10 out of 10 for you just being a trooper and going through this while we're sorting this out in the background. I love you.
Oh, I love you too, Dan. It's so nice. We always have, because Dan and I sort of chat sometimes, not when we're doing this, but we just chat and have a laugh. And yeah,
Yeah.
love you too, loads.
This is the dragon energy though, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Just before, did I interrupt you? Was you through something there?
I don't. Yeah, I was talking about our moon and the black moonstone.
Okay, finish that off, because I've got so many questions to ask you, and I've not been able to ask them. So finish that off, and I'll ask you your question.
Well, there's still plenty more, so let's do some questions now, and then we'll come back to me talking. Otherwise, people will just want to know, won't they? Answer the questions.
Yeah.
So read some out.
So my question is, it's quite funny when you were showing Patrick's gold painting that you had that comic reference to the meditation you had with your friends. Because on Sunday I had my tea leaves read. And
did you?
Yeah, she's going to be coming on next Wednesday, I think she is. And there was a comical dragon around me. It was a comic one. It was a comic drawing of a dragon, and it had and it was a very laughing thing. And I was like, oh, okay. But you saying that has really made things a little bit clearer.
Yes. Yeah. And why wouldn't you have one that was just full of fun? I mean, what other dragon would come? That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Oh, it's lovely. So, do you want to cover some other people's questions, and that before
we've got one from Ange.
Okay.
On one meditation with Moon's drumming. So this is our friend Esther, who does a drumming meditation on a Sunday night. I've had a brief visit of a dragon. Does it mean it's possibly one of my spiritual guides? Did you ask it?
could do, Ange, although they tend not to be our personal guides. They're more like they guide us as a whole species. They guide, groups of us, or they guide us separately. They teach us, they give us healing. So they'll come for a certain aspect of your life, but not to be the spiritual guide where they hold the plan of your life and help you work through all the experiences. So not that type of guide. They're a little bit more there for the bigger picture. So, but lovely, a brief visit of a dragon. Did you see, or did you get a feeling of what type or what color or anything that you would recognize again? Because they do all vary. I saw one once and had behind its mouth had these long, almost like a Fu Manchu moustache coming down and curling up at the ends. Very much like a sort of droopy Hercule Poirot moustache. And I looked, and at the time I was, my teacher in spirit, my guide is Dral Kul, and he's Tibetan. And when I looked up the dragons and looked up at the different drawings of them, the Tibetan dragons have those sort of long, droopy tendrils. I don't know what they're for, whether they're just sensing, a bit like a cat's whiskers.
Yeah, and the
that sort of
catfish.
thing. Yes,
catfish as well. They have those whiskery things. So yeah, it might be a feeling.
Yes. So, look for different attributes, look for different features, just like we have, we're all different colors. I mean, look at the difference. Dan looks really dark there. You look very dark and swarthy and Mediterranean.
I do. This is some good webcam. This is, no filter. This is me. Like, this is what lockdown's done to me.
Yeah, and I'm still just pale and pasty in comparison. But they do. They have different colours. They have features. Sorry, Dan, you said, and
that's all right. Yeah, it's just I thought you had finished then, and we're going to go to the next question, but carry on.
Yes, no, do. So that, in answer to your question, Ange, they're not usually that personal as a spiritual guide. They come in for a certain purpose, or they're around you for a certain time, or a certain thing that you're going through, and then they'll go again. So they don't stick around all your life guiding you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, go. Perfect. Next question.
Well, Shardy, after us announced that I am back again. Yes, I am. Hopefully to stay. I'm not going anywhere now. Yeah. But then she has come on to say she would love to know more about the Black Moonstone that you were talking about. So that's it for the questions. We've got no more here, Hilary. So please, as you were.
As you were. Brilliant. So when we asked them, they asked to treat them as guardians of certain aspects, and they said, look at the things that we guard, the things that we hold sacred. That will give you a much better idea of what we're about. So they started us off with sacred geometry, and that got head hurting time. The meanings and the intricacies to them, how they see our sacred geometry. We can see it 2D, we can see it 3D. They see it from all ways round, the whole time. So they have a very different perception. Ours is quite limited. We can imagine a 3-dimensional Metatron's cube, for example. But when you see it through different dimensions, it can become very, very complicated. And so we said, look, can you simplify this for us? And they seem to almost have a little conflab between the three of them. When the three of us are working, our 3 dragons, we're almost sort of, God, what have we got to do? Why have we got to keep it simple, these numpties? Don't they understand? So they sort of turned back and went, oh, well, the simplest symbols that you have are the runes. And they said now the runes, long before the Norse people used them, they were symbols of trade in the universe. So, for example, Fehu, which is often interpreted as abundance, and that symbol, they could trade then what was abundant on one world with what was abundant on another world. So they used the runes in a much more complicated and a much more individual way. But the runes, there's only 20 something of them. So it's a very simple way for us to understand. So we got out the runes, and Alan said he was in his own meditation, he was given 10 runes that explained the world that I mentioned around Electra through the Pleiadian Seven Sisters. So he gave the 10 runes that he was given because they don't have a name. You know, they think it's hilarious that we call our planet Earth, because Earth means different things to different people, and it doesn't really sum up this planet. You know, for a start, a lot of it is water.
Yeah.
So how can we call it Earth? Well, you know, they do laugh at us quite a lot. So these 10 runes, sorry, the 10 runes that they gave us, we had to then work out what they were trying to tell us. And it came about that within these 10 was the need for somewhere for them to be, somewhere that they could reach Earth and communicate with us and connect with us, that there was to be no fear, because fear would block that sort of passage. It was all about the connection between that world and ours, and fear would block that connection. So these 10 runes in turn, when we sort of worked through the meanings, came up with a whole concept of what that world is. So a name doesn't do it. So the names that we give them, you know, Fred or George or Grumpy or Happy or whatever, a name can't sum them up. So we like to give dragons names. It's a human trait that they really sort of roll their eyes at. And they say a set of symbols, even as simple as the runes, would conjure up a much more fitting description of us and of our world and all other worlds. You know, and it reminded us that some of those worlds out there are given just initials and numbers. You know, we talk about, you know, discovered a new world and it's RZ63 or something. And that they go, yeah, that's a good description of that world. And you just think, so they talk a lot in these sort of symbols and metaphors and things that just to try and get us to understand. So the symbols were really, really nice. So they guard those and they protect those symbols, signs, like we had on the back of the moon and the moonstone. Those lines on the moonstone are very reminiscent of the directional lines on the back of the moon. So, but all these, it included crop circles. Now we had I had a really lovely meditation. We asked about a new crop circle that appeared when we were doing all this research, and there was a new one. So we meditated each with it, and we each saw something, a different aspect of it. So I know that Joan saw the dragon's energy hovering above and pushing the wheat down to the earth and creating the pattern. And she was talking to her dragon about this is like their stamp, their mark. Obviously, they don't do all of them, but you know what crop circles, some are made by human beings, and we know that for a fact. There are groups of people who go out, and I do know somebody who takes part with the planks and the ropes. But she said that the people who draw up the designs are incredibly focused, incredibly intense, and they channel through the designs they have to do. And each person is given a portion and they have to go and do it at night. And this is, they are instructed to do this. So some are man-made, but they're man-made having channeled the design.
Yeah.
Some are made by, we say aliens make them. But what's alien? Anything or anybody that doesn't come from Earth. So that includes dragons. So some are made, by the dragon energy. Some are made by, so-and-so from planet Zod will come and go, whew, let's leave a mark there. The dragons told us that these crop circles are very much for the earth. The energy of the pattern, it's only temporary. So it sinks into the earth. And they're left in places where there's great healing needed, where other people can access them and connect with the energy of them. But I went down, when I meditated with this, I flew up above the crop circle and went down through the center of it. And down in a cave right underneath, I found a dragon sitting there looking really bored and really fed up. And with one claw, he was drawing the design on the floor of his cave of the crop circle. And it was almost like he couldn't be bothered. And then he'd look at it and then he'd add a bit more and add a bit more until he liked it. And then once he was quite pleased with the design that he'd drawn on the bottom, the energy just rose up in light and sucked the crops down in that exact shape. So I said, oh, do you sometimes work from within the earth and pull the crops and pull them down flat to create the pattern? And why not? He said, it's easier. Nobody sees anything. They just see everything sucked down. And again, he said, it's for the earth. It's not just for human beings to go and sit in and go, wow, isn't this awesome? And he said it does depend on who has made the crop circle according to how much radiation there is, because they've measured the broken stalks, and in some there's great radiation. Some are, from beings who come from other worlds. Some are from the dragons, and they can tell, the dragons can tell who's made which one by the quality. And of course, we only make the finest. We make the best crop circles. So they protect them then. They protect that symbol until the farmer comes along and mows it all flat. But they protect the symbol as it's gone into the earth. So it's not just for us. Sometimes it is for that particular site. They do like being drawn to sites where there's been battles or trouble there, because then it's a healing symbol, or sometimes it's a connection with another world. So they will draw a symbol that signifies another world out there to connect it with that space. A lot of us are aware that there is like a grid around this earth, a grid of light, crystalline energy, holding this earth stable while we go through so many changes. And the lights of those grids sometimes need to go into the earth. They're not just around the outside. So if you imagine that these symbols that are placed on the earth are connected to the outer grid, to keep that connection, to allow a sort of stream of energy to come in from out there. So the crop circles was really an interesting one. The other symbols, as I said, were all in triplicate. So there were the Triskele, the Shinto, the things that have movement, the symbols that seem to spin like a fan, seem to go round. They do connect very strongly with the Crystal Kingdom. So I think we should, don't you, Dan? I think we should.
Absolutely. We'll do that one night. Absolute. Let's bring them back and mix them with the crystals.
Yes, because, we have crystals that are called, the Septarian is called Dragonstone.
Yep.
there's a lot of them out there now that, you know, we know hold that energy and have a connection with them. So another thing that they said that they are guardians of is our highest light. So this isn't just the gold, our highest values, but it's our potential. It's what we can achieve this lifetime, because they can see, you know, your whole soul's journey. So they can see what you've achieved, what you've built up, and where you're heading. So the image that we had was of a dragon there holding a light, a lantern, going, this is it, this is your brightest light, you know, just make your way, you know, come on, this is here for you. So they don't kind of clear our way or help us get there, they just show us that's our potential, that's what we can achieve. And of course that varies lifetime to lifetime. So they might show you the light or the potential of what you can achieve this lifetime, which will be the optimum health, wisdom, understanding. But they can also show you, you know, your whole soul's journey when you've finished incarnating with this world. How bright will your light shine by then? It's just awesome to see. And to see kind of through their eyes. I had a glimpse of that in one meditation. I'd come back, I'd set the group on a meditation, and I didn't go anywhere. My dragon came into my living room and was talking to me there. And I said, you know, how do you see that bigger picture? How do you see through so many dimensions? And he said, look through your dragon's eyes. And I looked out of my window, and it was the view from my lounge window looks just down the road. There's just down to trees at the end. So I'm on a bit of a hill. So I looked down over the trees, and he said, look through your dragon's eyes. And I looked through, and I could see, it was like looking at my road through many, many sheets and layers of like a clear perspex or acetate. So I could see an image on the front one of how it looks now, and how it looked when those trees were really young, how it looked before the bungalows here were built. And it was like looking through layer after layer after layer back to when it was just open land, open fields. And it was a bit, it was wow, it was hard to put into words. But there have been times when he said, look through time, because that's our, you know, that's another dimension that's close to us that we can grasp. We know that beyond this physical realm, time has no relevance. So we can look, as the dragons do, we can look through time if we can switch our mind and switch our focus to see through all those layers of what has been. And then if you turn around, you can look what will be.
Yeah.
Which is quite exciting.
It's amazing.
They are such incredible energies to work with. They really are. And they cross over. You know, I was saying about the elements, the air, earth, fire, water, crystal, and metal. I saw when I went down into, I was flying with my dragon, because I think at first I used to fly on its back, and then now I fly alongside it because it's easier. Just, you know, get your dragon's body on and you can fly too. And so we were flying, and I was thinking, I was really feeling the air and the quality of the air around me. And then we got to over the sea, and we dived down into the sea, and I looked at the dragon I'd gone with, and his wings folded back into fins along his back. So he was swimming then like a bit like a dolphin or a bit like a fish, his tail spread out. And we just swam right down to a cave really deep underwater. And he said all of them can change and change elements. They're not restricted to one element that they're connected to. So they can all swap and change, which was lovely to see. But I digress. So in a way, that's the other thing that they guard is portals and doorways and space in between. So just like they can adapt to these different elements, they can guard and protect the time when we're in between jobs or in between lives. Or in between partners, or that space, that gap, they kind of hold the energy for us. So they don't just accompany us or see us through. They, you know, if you sit in a circle, or if you sit in a group and somebody there holds the energy and you hold that, that's what they do for us when we're in between. So it's also that gap in between worlds. So all the dark matter that's out there, they're guardians of that. They protect that and hold that space, and help any time when we're going in between two states of matter, two lives, things that progress. You know, you think of the caterpillar growing into the butterfly, and you think of the cocoon. It's that stage where the dragons do hold that space for us as we change. So, and then lastly, they showed us all the things that they protect: energy cycles, time, synchronicities, all those sort of things, because they see through time. And, you know, I feel very grateful that I had that experience of being able to see just my road here through time. I have used it since, and yeah, it's amazing to see how things change and how things evolve and how we do. So they do look after the chakras of the earth. So this set me off on another journey and another workshop I do just for the chakras of the earth.
I can't wait for you to come to Exeter to do that one.
Yeah.
I would love to do the chakras of the earth. Amazing.
Yes. I cover, I can't think it was 12 or 13 of just the major energy centers of the earth. But a lot, you know, that started coming through from the dragons. So it kind of, then I had to do more research and go out of body and meditate at each site so that I could get a feel for how that is. So yeah, happy to do that one. That's great. So they look after the sacred sites. So this led us to look at some of the standing stones, the circles, sacred sites, old sites of old temples, old churches, old, you know, ancient sort of ruins. And they don't protect them all. At some where I really expected to find dragon, it was dead, empty. And at others, it was really, really strong. So this sort of, as it goes through time, if a site has been abused, if a place has been used for the wrong purpose, the dragons will withdraw. They only wish to protect what's for the highest good. So they will just pull back away from places that the energy's gone, because that's our responsibility. That's not theirs. They don't fix it. They don't reset it, but they will guard anything that's pure, that's still got a lovely energy there. So we found lots of them at different sites around the earth, and they protect those. They protect time. They protect the integration of other dimensions. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, we're moving up through the dimensions where, you know, we're already at 5th and we're heading for the 7th. And I always think, what about the 4th and the 6th? Where are they? You know, where's the 8th? And I find the whole concept of that a little strange. That's just my personal view.
I agree.
The earth is multidimensional. Thank you. The earth is multidimensional. It's not a 3D world. The world has always been multidimensional. It's our awareness of it back in time when we were only concerned with the physical life, with survival. We only saw things in a way of like height, width, and depth. You know, those 3 dimensions. It's real. It's a mass. It's a solid structure, and that's all we focused on. But the Earth hasn't changed. So it couldn't possibly have been a 3D world, because we have all these other beings that visit it, and they wouldn't have been able to. So it's our perception that has expanded. Now, when I think of the dimensions of the first 3 create that solid structure, and then we have time. So if you take like a table, and it's got a depth, a height, and width, it's also got time. You know, this wooden table was a tree. So you start looking at that wooden table through the dragon's eyes, and you see how it was formed or changed or, you know, cut right back to the tree. So that then gives it that dimension of time. And then you look at the next dimension is space, the volume. How much volume, how much space did that tree take up? How did it grow? You know, where did that fit into the whole forest? Maybe the table was made from several different trees. You know, so you've got that sort of space and time. Now that already you're up to 5. So I do feel, you know, this spiritual awareness that has been growing and growing and growing, the 6th sight, 6th sense, you know, that's the 6th. To me, that's the 6th dimension, where we're aware, we're awakening, we're aware of far more than the dimensions here on Earth. You know, and then we expand that to the outer dimensions. So it's us that's changing. It's not our world. But however you look at all those dimensions that people say, you know, this is expanding, or we're going into the 6th or 7th or 9th dimension, it's just we're starting to integrate that. And the dragons again help with that. They help us understand and integrate all those other dimensions that are out there, all other realms, so that we can be quite as happy experiencing the life of the elementals, how they are being, and feel that we are also, you know, we exist in all those dimensions. Even science proves now there are 12. We exist in all those 12 realities. So the dragons help us integrate that, so we can feel what it's like to flit around with the fairies. And I know a lot of people do anyway. I know several. But we can also feel what it's like, you know, to be deep in the ocean with whales, or with the dolphins, or with any of the other sea creatures. There's so much in our oceans we haven't explored.
No.
You know, the ancient civilizations, the ancient cultures, their energy is still down there. So yeah, it's lovely to go and explore that. When we asked the dragons, is there anywhere that we can connect with them particularly? We know the chakras of the earth have a great deal of energy. Is there anywhere else? And they went back again to their energy frequency range that is so vast. And they said, where you can connect with us wherever you feel that quickening. Now, to me, that's the Northern Lights. Whenever I see them, I think, the excitement.
Yes.
Wherever you feel that level of joy and excitement, wherever you feel. So it's not always about calming your mind and settling things down. Sometimes to connect with dragons, and this goes back to Catherine, focus on something that really excites you. I don't want to know what it is. For God's sake, don't tell me. But if it's something that gives you stop it. If it gives you great joy and great pleasure, focus on it. Imagine you're there looking at the Northern Lights, or whatever, you know, tropical island. feel that joy and ask the dragons to come, and they'll be straight there. So, like I say, focus on something, focus on what quickens your vibration, on what helps you to sort of reach those higher frequencies. That's when they'll come. You don't have to sit and still. So do just go where your heart takes you, and they'll be there. Are there any more questions, Dan? Because
if there's any more questions, please do ask this amazing, very talented. I love listening to you. It is weird what my role is when I get guests on. Some of them I'm very much Alan Carr, Graham Norton, ask the questions and we get replies. And then there is just some people where I'm treated to a little bit of a free time where I could just sit back and just listen, and it's an absolute delight. Have you seen the Northern Lights in real?
A night off. But you've done this workshop.
And yeah, that's what I was saying at the beginning before I got broke up and a dragon burnt me to bits. When I went to do the workshop, I mean, I had no idea what was involved, and I was thinking very fantasy, mythical. I thought it would be King Arthur and bringing in, the tale of George and the Dragon, and it completely changed my mind. Completely turned my mindset into, wow, they are out there. Because before doing your workshop, there's a lady who we get on really well with at some of the events, and she would gladly stand at the stall and tell us about how she's seen the dragons here and the dragons there, and I was fascinated, but couldn't see them myself. But going onto your workshop just made me go, yes, they are, and my eyes have opened, and I do see them. I mean, through the meditations you take us under, the one that stays with me now is my little violet flame dragon. That's like a seahorse. It's just like a seahorse, and whenever I need to just clear my space, if I'm taking on much, she just comes around and she just circles around me and she just blows violet flame at me, and I'm just, thank you. She's my little spritzer. And yeah,
lovely.
It's brilliant.
Yes, it is.
So,
it's lovely. We had so many lovely meditations with them, just incredible, and they were so willing to share their knowledge and help us to understand them better.
Absolutely.
So
Shadi said, thank you, Hilary, for answering and for going back to the Black Moonstone. Do you use any crystals to help with connection to the dragons? She sees labradorite as dragon's eye. As a dragon's eye.
Yes, I do have a dragon, an ornament, a china one, and its eyes are labradorite. It's really lovely. I don't use them myself to connect, because I find I have a connection that basically I just close my eyes. That's it. But there are crystals that I do let people explore and work with on the workshops, because sometimes it is really nice to hold that energy. Oh, look, beautiful, absolutely stunning. See? Oh, that's beautiful. But just crystals, you don't have to have them carved into a dragon's head. I've got a nice fluorite one carved into a dragon's head. I've got all sorts of, in fact, my house is full of dragon ornaments and dragon crystals. Oh, I like that one. Oh, yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Wow.
And then we've got
Wow.
Daddy.
Oh, yeah. Wow. No, I like the middle one. I like the second one better.
Someone else liked the middle one as well. They like the golden stripes through.
Yes, yes, it's beautiful.
Sorry, because we were
Beautiful.
talking about crystals and dragons, I thought it'd be a nice time
Yeah.
to show them off.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
I miss
wanted to
being
see
your
those.
hand model.
We'll do that again. We'll do a separate, perhaps little chat, Shardy, on the crystals. But yes, there's things like mystic Merlinite, you know, linking back to ancient knowledge and wisdom, and Merlin, of course. Dragonstone, which is the Septarian. Moldavite, because it's from other worlds, other realms, other stars. The Stropholite as well is a nice one to work with. That's very out there. What else do we do? Petersite or Pietasite.
Oh, I
It's
love.
a sort of bluey brown, and that forms a bridge between different realms and different life forms. So does Nebula Stone. That's a lovely one to work with the dragons. We had years ago, when I was doing this little aside now, when I was doing my crystal healing course and doing the diploma in that, we had lots of different journeys with different crystals. And Hilary and Mark brought out these nebula stones and said, right, these are to go one on each eyelid, and I believe one at your heart and one in each hand. And they said, this will take you for you to experience being another life form. So, my hand shot up first. And they said, okay, Hilary, you can give them a try. So I laid down with these crystals were placed on me. And I said, and I was thinking, what other life form, you know, because you can be anything. I was just really, really excited, thinking, you know, a dragon, a being from another world, another realm. And I thought, it's a bit smelly, it's a bit damp. And I thought, oh, I'm on the sort of forest floor. I'm up against a tree. I could feel a tree behind me. And all of a sudden, I felt I was sucked into the sap of the tree and rose up through the tree, and then just under a branch, it was like my energy was spat out, and I was hanging on under this branch, and I thought, oh, for God's sake, I'm a fungus. And I thought of all the things I could have been. I mean, it was an incredible meditation and an incredible lesson. I did learn a lot from it, but I thought of all the things I could have been.
A fungus.
But I did learn from it. So you never know. You never know what's going to come. You never know where it's going to lead. But Nebula Stone will help as well, take you to that other level where you'll feel that.
Yes.
What else? The Black Moonstone we've mentioned. Iron Pyrite as well, because the iron of the center of our world, for that strength. The gold, obviously, I know it's fool's gold, but it does have that energy. So there's a lot. I've got some nice big chunks of limonite after pyrite, where the limonite has formed around the pyrite. That has a lovely feeling of the strength. And they're just lumps. You'll see them when we do the chat on the crystals of the dragons, but they're very much just a rough looking lump, looking a bit like the male form of the bogie stones. That sort of rough edge look. So yes, there's lots of different ones. There's of course now, thanks to Game of Thrones, black obsidian is called dragon glass. So that's being quite acknowledged now, dragon glass. So these sort of things, you know, people work with the crystals, they rename them, or they find other attributes for them. You find several crystals have more than one name. like Septarian and Dragonstone.
Mhm.
There's also a serpentine that is a dragon skin serpentine, which is also lovely to work with. So there will be lots. That will be a nice, exciting one to do.
It
So
will.
yes, question.
And just thank you, Caroline, for your message, because I would just like to go off subject here.
Yes, do.
It's someone's birthday tomorrow.
It is. It is, yes.
Oh, many happy returns for tomorrow, Hilary.
Thank you.
I
Thank
thought you were
you.
getting near to being 21.
Oh, close. Close. Yeah. Times many. yeah, getting up in the very big numbers now. But don't feel any different.
Well,
But
thank you for
yes,
bringing that to my attention, Caroline.
That's Caroline Rachel.
It is. It is.
Yes, Caroline.
She's just having to go. She's just having to go to put the kids to bed, but hopefully she will catch the comments of.
Oh, she's lovely. Thank you, Caroline. Yes, it is tomorrow. See,
Bless.
in the year of the dragon, I was born right smack in the year of the dragon, right in the middle.
Well, there's no.
So,
This is. It's meant to be, isn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so Shardy wants to ask as well, in the other star systems, do the dragons dwell on those worlds?
They don't have a home like we consider a home. They visit. And just like, some places you've lived, you feel a real strong connection with. Some places you visit, you feel really comfortable and really happy there. But they're not fixed to any one world. So they will visit, they will go back to places that they like, just like we do. But they don't have that concept of home because it's too restricting. It's too, it doesn't define them. So they're freer than that. But they do have certain places and certain worlds. Some dragons will like one place better than another, very similar to we do. So yeah, they don't live permanently anywhere. They may let their energy rest on a certain world or stay there for a while, or like they might come here and be here for a purpose for a while and then just go again. So I hope that answers that. They're not that fixed.
Not that fixed. No, that's absolutely fine. Again, please feel free to whack up some questions. We've got about 8 minutes left.
I've got all evening.
and that's the time that I was thinking, but we may go on longer because I do just want to chat to you about the things you've got coming up. I mean, we've got a special day tomorrow, but the Healing Weekend have just released their workshops for their online on Zoom. You're doing two amazing. You're starting us off.
I know.
You're the first one on.
I know.
It's all on you, Hilary.
Well, at least I won't have to follow somebody's sort of benchmark, will I? So they can all follow me.
You've got to bring the benchmark, sweetheart. You've got to bring the crowds in and keep them there till Saturday when I go on. But
I know that was a real surprise. After the opening ceremony, she's put me straight in there. So I'll be doing the crystals of the planets. So from the chakras of the earth, I started looking at the effect of the planets, because obviously with the dragons, they very much relate to other worlds and other systems. So I then looked at the different attributes of the planets in our star system. Now, I'm not an astrologer by any means. I wouldn't know, the way around your birth chart. So those sort of things weren't what I was looking at. I was looking at the things like Saturn to us represents restrictions, limitations, the law, the things that have to be done, and your to-do list, and those sort of limitations, the things that restrict you. So I looked to see what crystals there were that had either a similar property or that would help give you the freedom. So I linked about 3 crystals, I think, to each of the planets that we have in our solar system. So some of them will help you bring through those aspects. So if you're needing a bit of structure and needing a bit of boundaries in your life, there are crystals that carry that energy of Saturn to help you. But also, likewise, conversely, the crystals that will help you, like we have Mercury going retrograde. So Mercury is normally a very fast-moving planet. I know the retrograde is only an illusion, because our different shape of our orbits means that it looks as if it's going one way in our sky, and then for 3 times a year, we're overtaking it and it's going in the opposite direction. So it's only an illusion caused by our different orbits around the sun, but it does still affect us and affect some people more than others. So there will be crystals that will help mitigate those sort of downside of those planets going retrograde. So that's what I'm going to be talking about, and showing those crystals and which ones link with which planets. So that's going to be exciting.
That is, and I mean, it's all kicking off this weekend, isn't it? Planetary wise, because we go retrograde tomorrow. Yes. Saturday is summer solstice, and then Sunday they're throwing in a new moon and a solar eclipse at us. I think Godzilla's going to hatch out. It's it's hold on to your hats.
Yes, definitely, and there will be crystals to help you hold on to your hats. So yeah, it's a lovely one. That really interested me. I do love, I've got a real thirst for knowledge, and I do love doing the research and then putting it together and then trying to explain it to people in a very I hope easy to understand way. I don't use sort of many long words or complicated concepts, because I think things, keep it real, keep it simple, and let's all understand it.
We've got people on here, sweetheart. We've got Shardy, who is saying, thank you, Hilary. I could listen to you all day. Shelley Allen. I don't know you, Hilary, but I love listening to your lovely teachings and words of wisdom. What a lovely lady you are. So don't.
Kind, thank you.
It's wonderful, but it is your teachings. So you could put something to us, and we will lap it up and be like, this is amazing. You've got such a way of coming across. But just briefly as well, your second workshop is about Lemuria.
Yes. This started many years ago. I was working with the couple who taught me all about crystal healing and all about crystals, and we were working together on some ancient rites and ceremonies. And Hilary had a great big lump, another Hilary had a great big lump of crystal that she would put in my lap and say, go with this, go back to Atlantis and find this, and I want to know that, and I want to know this. So I go out of body with that crystal energy and go and have a look and bring the information back. And I kept thinking, this isn't Atlantis. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I just knew it wasn't Atlantis. It was before then. So I said, and she said, oh, it must be Lemuria. So I went, oh, okay. And then that triggered a lot of memories in me of having been alive in there. Lemuria existed in the Pacific Ocean for over 100,000 years. So it's very likely that we've all lived on Lemuria and Atlantis. So, at some point, I had several lives in those times. So those memories kept coming back. And I was researching more and asking my guides more and more about what life was like, and what about this and what about that. So I put all that together and I wrote it into an article, and that sparked off a lot of interest. So I thought I must put this into a workshop at some point and help other people go back and go and see their lives in those times. So they were great, great seafaring people, very wise. It was one of the earliest times that we're aware of that our pure spiritual energy from source was incarnating on this world to experience physical reality. So over those 100,000 years, it was, we evolved quite a lot, but it still has that fascination of our link to source and our link back in time. So I'll be talking about that. And of course, we have Lemurian crystals.
We do.
So they're really lovely. So I'll be showing some of those and how to use those crystals to access the information. And yeah, just talking about Lemuria.
And it's really good, because for me, I do feel this year is all about connecting, and this is why it's so nice to connect with such amazing people that are coming on here, because also on the Saturday, I mean, at the healing weekend, and for the people who have been going there for the last 3 years, I've always done my chakra workshops there. But this year, I was asked, which I was so privileged by Elaine, if I would collaborate with Karen from the Devon Birds of Prey Centre, and we'll be doing a very, very mini take on Make a Birdhouse in Your Soul, which for me, you're connecting crystals to planets, you're connecting to Lemuria. We're going to be connecting people to the raptors via crystals. I think we'll perhaps only have time to do a couple. But it just seems right.
Yes, and it'll be a taster for your Serenity Radio show, which will be all about the spirits of animals and how they connect to the crystals. So yeah, people, it'll just bring that sort of forerunner where people will then want to know more and they'll tune into Serenity Radio. We are both going to have shows on Serenity Radio, so thrilled about that. So there's a lovely, lovely group of people. It's been put together by Michelle Clark and Rob and Craig, who have put together this radio show. It's on Facebook. It's broadcasting through this. It's broadcasting through their website, which is just serenityradio.co.uk. There's also an app that you can download. And eventually, when Dan and I have got ourselves sorted out with the technology, at least you've got a living one there. You've got Adam. But when we've got ourselves sorted out with the technology, we'll both be having shows on there. So mine will be Spiritual Compass, which I was given the title or given the image of it because it points in all directions. So I'll be talking about a variety of things, and you're going to be linking those lovely spirits of animals
to crystals.
The crystals would be amazing.
I've just sat down and sent off my 12-week plan to Michelle. I am hoping to get Craig on here to do a little convo, because again, I want another male energy to come onto Dan ROX and bring that male energy out. So I'm hoping to have a chat with Craig to get him on here. So yeah, if she likes my 12-week plan, then thumbs up. But yeah, exciting times. Put it this way, it would be a lot much more easier if there's anything going wrong. At least my face isn't going to be telling that something's going wrong. At least it's radio, so my face isn't going to be there. But just a couple more.
We've got faces for radio.
My grandma always said I had a face fit for radio. When I was little, I actually thought that was a compliment.
Lovely.
Yeah, because I used to love singing Queen, Radio Gaga. That was one of my favourite songs when I was a kid. So I loved singing that, and she would be like, "Oh, you've got a face fit for radio," and I thought, Yeah, I want to be
Oh,
on the radio. But then I actually realised that, yeah, there was there wasn't that much of a compliment behind that.
oh.
Just a quick question from Sandra. If you are
Okay.
born under the Chinese zodiac year of the dragon, which you've said you are, yeah, does that mean you are connected to the dragon? Thank you.
Usually, because we choose which animal we're going to connect to. We choose our Western astrological sign. So I chose to be a Gemini, probably for the talking, for the but also that we tend to have rather a butterfly brain, so we flip from one thing to another, and everything fascinates me. So I can see why that way I chose to be a Gemini, coming smack in the middle of a dragon year, because the dragon, very, very revered in the Far East as being a symbol of power, but they're also a symbol of knowledge and information and wisdom and great strength. And I obviously wanted that because the combination of the Gemini and the dragon gave me that thirst for knowledge. And that's why I chose that. So whichever animal you're born under will give you or help you to connect with that animal for the attributes it has. So it doesn't matter what it is, it's the attributes of the animal that you connect with. So yes, if you're born under the sign of the dragon, then they were imperial. The imperial household was very much the symbol of the dragon. Dragons carved everywhere as a symbol of power, authority. But for me, it's very much about the information, the wisdom, and the knowledge.
Mm.
And when you think these creatures have been around since the year dot, this is what we love as dragons. There are some dragon people I've met who have gone on the sort of power side and can be quite demanding. I think that's putting it a bit kindly, but they've
For the
taken
show and for you, yes.
they've taken that attribute of the dragon. So you tend to find people born under the sign of the monkey are very, chatty, friendly, playful, fun.
I wish I was a
Don't take it
monkey.
seriously. Oh, when were you born? What's your animal?
Pig.
Are you? Oh, love. Do you know they are the 10th most intelligent animal, and they are the most like humans?
It's where I get my
So
gut from. It's where I get my love of food.
yeah, kind of. But it's your love for humanity because they're the closest to us. Our DNA, our organs, and theirs. We can have pigs' hearts. We can have pigs' organs within us. So it's your love of humanity, of people, your interaction with them that gives you that, and also that bit of.
I'm glad he said rooster. We're trying to wrap up the show and he comes up to say that he's a rooster. Cock-a-doodle do. Cock-a-doodle don't.
Well, not while the show's in progress. Anyway. They're brilliant. Patrick's a rooster as well. So there you go. You are alone.
Next time they're together, they could have a cockfight.
Please, no, not live on ROX Box.
I think we've just put half an hour onto the show.
So yes, I'm so sorry to answer your question. If you are born under the year of the dragon, you will have some of those, an affinity with some of the attributes of the dragon. But it's your choice then which you take. And yours, your pig, because that also has the wild boar. The pig is also the boar, snuffling around, you know, looking for truffles.
I love
But
being a boar.
also there's that attribute of don't mess with me. You know, you can put, I'll be a pushover, but I'm fiercely protective. So they are. So pigs and boars, yeah, they're all lovely. All the different animals have different characteristics. So, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one. You just have those attributes.
And Shelley, of course, we will notify you of all the shows. Like I said, I'm into collaborating and connecting. So any shows that Serenity are putting up, like Hilary's, Penny's, Joe Dutfield, any of those, I will gladly show on Dan Rocks. But please also go over to Serenity on Facebook, because they need 2,000 likes for them to get the player onto Facebook.
Yes. Yeah.
So please don't just rely on us to show the post. Put yourself onto Serenity, give it a like, and when they get that 2,000, hopefully they'll have a player, and I think we can share that as well. But we will let you know about any shows that are coming up. Absolutely. Shardy, she's also a rooster. We're cracking people up with that. Pigs are good. Pigs are good fortune in Asia. That's nice.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Eileen Keane, she said, fascinating talk, Hilary. Thank you. Great banter too.
Hi. Thank you. Oh, yeah, she's lovely, Eileen.
Yeah. And we've just cracked people up with, I mean, this is why we had to sort out the connection, because,
I know.
without
lovely when it's backwards and forwards.
It is. But the connection issue was, we've got some charger discs. We've got some squares on our market that's listed on Friday, but we've got some round ones, and I've claimed one of them. That was on the laptop.
Oh, that's
so
right,
we think it was actually, it was interfering.
Yes.
So yeah, but
interesting.
Very interesting.
Somebody at the door. Hang on a minute.
So,
the dog. Either way, I don't know who it is.
shall we let you go there, Hilary?
Go and say hello, and then I'll come back.
Okay. Why Hilary's sorting out with, you couldn't make this up. This isn't a sketch. This is live. This is brilliant. Why Hilary's at the door, just to let you guys know, tomorrow is our communal altar gathering on Dan Rocks. So please come on board tomorrow night at 6, where we will be doing a altar setup to dedicate the new moon, the solstice, and the solar eclipse. So we'll be having that going on tomorrow night. We'll have our market on Friday night at 5 o'clock. And then at 6, we're joined by the lovely Julie Mackenzie, who is going to be going through some of her amazing, talented gifts and items she's got. So, and Friday Market is now listed, so you can have a look at all those items. Shardy, who needs Morecambe and Wise? Who are we, Punch and Judy? I'll tell you what, I could be Philip, you could be Holly.
Right. Yes.
Me and Phil have got a lot of history, you know. I nearly got married, and I've had children. He got married, you know.
Yes,
we share a similar history. I should go on this morning and tell him about my story.
Yes. I'm sure that would go down really well.
It might spark a few more court cases. I don't think so. Right, sweetheart. Hilary.
Well, that was a lovely bunch of flowers from a dear friend.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, that's
lovely.
beautiful. Someone, Sandra thinks we're French and Saunders. I
Oh,
love them. Dawn French is one of my spirit
yeah.
animals.
I'm going to choke in a minute. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's all about having fun.
It
Absolutely.
is. When I did the crystal healing course, there were the 3 or 4 ladies that I taught. They laughed and laughed the whole time through the whole sort of 3 or 4 months. Goodness knows how we got through all the work.
Yeah.
But when they came to take their final assessment or final exam, they all passed with flying colours. And I said, how on earth can you remember all that we did? And they
Yeah.
such fun because we laughed, we remembered
That's it. If you make it enjoyable, I've had to
it.
add on an extra hour to my workshops. I used to finish them at
Yeah.
4. I now finish them at 5, just in case. Well, I mean, there's always banter. We always have laughs.
Yes.
So that hour is there just to coincide with the banter. But
Definitely.
it's absolutely, and I mean, we are coming. I am asking for people to come on. If anyone's got spiritual background and they want to come on to Dan Rock's Rock Box, they're more than welcome to. But I am getting a few rejections, so I am asking the old guests to come back round again. So this beautiful face is going to be back again to do the dragons. And
Getting older tomorrow, so I'll go into the old friends category.
you will be a treasured friend for us. So yeah, you've still got to come back to do your Violet Flame, coming back to do the dragons and crystal connections. Hilary, thank you so much for being here. I bloody love you. You're amazing.
It's been so nice. Always lovely to chat to Dan and to just share, isn't it? We just share what we've learned. So,
that is it.
Lovely.
That is it. Just down to earth, and just say it how it is. You don't cover it with glitter and gold and unicorn farts.
No.
You just do it as it is, and it works. So thank you, and thank you for just storming ahead while we had that glitch at the beginning. You were just a marvel. Do I just carry on? You carry on, girl. You've got them. I'll come in when I can, but you go, girl. You're doing great. So
thank you to everybody who's been listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you do have any other questions or anything you want to get in touch with me for, then please do. And I do always try and get back to as many of you as I can. And look forward to seeing you next time. And thank you, Dan, and Adam.
Absolutely. You'll find her on Facebook. She's got her own website as well. If anyone is stuck on finding Hilary, give us a message and we'll put you on the right path to her for any questions at all. She's there to pick brains with. She's great. So thank you very much. Thank you, sweetheart. I'll drop you down into the waiting room. And no doubt we'll carry on the conversation when I've let these lovely people go. Thank you very much, sweetheart. Have a good evening.
Everybody.
Oh God, that's a bit big. I'm not used to this screen. Okay, thank you guys so much for giving her a warm welcome. Really sorry about the technical blip to begin with, but I'm glad we've sorted all that out. So please, if you want to join us tomorrow evening for the communal grid, it's there. We're starting at 6 o'clock. We're going to tap into the connections like we did this afternoon, and then we'll carry on with the altar, bringing that on. So anything that you feel connected with the summer solstice, anything that you're connected with the new moon, anything you feel connected with the solar eclipse, bring those words, bring those meanings to tomorrow night. We start that at 6 o'clock. And then we've got our market and we've got the lovely Julie. And then next week, our special guests will consist of the lovely Eva. You may have heard me mentioning that last weekend I had a tea leaf reading. I've been after a tea leaf palmist crystal ball reader for a while now to come on here, and I have found the lovely Eva. So she's going to be coming on to either just talk about the tea leaves, or maybe a bit of all three, or it might be something we'll have her back to talk a bit more about. And then next Saturday, we've got the amazing Elaine Fenton to talk about her amazing life and the Healing Weekend and the other great shows that she puts on around the UK. So for me tonight, the special guest nights are always extra long because they're amazing and I want their passion to come across. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here. And for me, I'll say goodbye and see you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Lots of love. Bye-bye.